Wang Lin discovers a severed ancient god skull and risks everything to seize a mysterious iron sword bound by deadly, red threads, triggering a catastrophic chase from a terrifying hidden force. No need to wait for the next episode. The full audio novel is already available on my website. Check it out below. And Zhou Ru, she unexpectedly became Liu Mei's disciple. There must be some hidden secret within this. Liu Mei is far too cunning. After thinking for a long time, Wang Lin suppressed the complicated emotions stirred by seeing Liu Mei. He withdrew his gaze from the sky and instead felt the surging origin energy within his body. The peak of Nirvana Scrya. His eyes shone with a cold light. Thinking further was useless. He was still within the Celestial Emperor cave. The matter before him had to be resolved first. Everything in this world contains law. The heavens, the earth, the five elements, all possess their own laws. To comprehend them all would take endless time. A person's strength is limited. It is impossible to grasp everything. His eyes flickered as he pondered in silence. Thus Nirvana cleanser cultivators, and even those ancient Nirvana shatterer monsters, each specialize in a single law. For example, Master Flamespark excels in the law of fire. As Wang Lin reflected, thunder suddenly surged from his right eye. It roared outward and condensed into a bright sphere of lightning. Within the sphere, a faint phantom could be seen. It was identical to his ancient Thunder Dragon origin soul. It was as if a shadow of it had manifested within the lightning. Wang Lin stared at it intently. His vision gradually shifted, becoming more refined. Yet the thunder sphere did not transform into the lines he had seen before. Though it turned more transparent, no trace of law appeared within it. I only obtained half of the ancient Thunder Dragon. The other half fell into the tide abyss. Because of this, the power of thunder is incomplete, and so is the law within. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin clenched his hand. The thunder sphere shattered into countless arcs of lightning. At the same time, flames ignited within his left eye, spreading outward into a vast sea of fire. Within the flames, the phantom of a vermilion bird appeared. Wang Lin observed closely. Gradually, the vermilion bird became transparent. The boundless flames transformed into crimson threads, each one clear to his sight. According to my understanding, to reach the Nirvana cleanser stage, I must fully master a single law. Only then can I use that law to absorb the world's origin energy, ensuring that the energy within me never runs dry. The strength of a Nirvana cleanser cultivator is deeply tied to the law they choose. He waved his hand. The sea of fire dispersed and his eyes returned to normal. The laws I understand best are thunder and fire, but fire is newly obtained. My comprehension is still shallow. I must deepen my understanding before using it to break through into Nirvana cleanser. Yet if I break through this way, I will lose the power of thunder. To abandon it would leave regret. But if I could fuse thunder and fire, and use that to step into Nirvana cleanser, that power would be extraordinary. Still thinking, Wang Lin stepped forward and entered the deep pit. He moved directly into the cave, arriving beside his original body. The woman in silver remained standing guard. When she saw Wang Lin's avatar, her expression did not change. Wang Lin ignored her completely and merged with his original body. Moments later, he slowly opened his eyes. The killing intent faded and calm returned. A sharp light flickered within his gaze as he rose to his feet. The vermilion bird I saw when I borrowed the heaven-defying bead. It was identical to my tattoo. There must be a connection. He stepped out of the fractured cave. The woman in silver followed silently. Her gaze rested on his back, a trace of confusion hidden in her eyes. The moment Wang Lin exited, he abruptly stepped back, his expression shifting. A streak of ghostly light shot out from the depths of the pit. It moved like a straight line rushing directly toward him. The instant he retreated, it arrived before him. Its black feathers were slightly disheveled, yet its eyes were sharp and intelligent. It was the star-marked sable. The sable appeared quite adorable. As it neared, it bit onto Wang Lin's clothing and swung back and forth like a pendulum. Crisp, cheerful cries echoed as it moved. After a few swings, it used the momentum to leap onto Wang Lin's shoulder. It rubbed its face with its claws, then leaned close to his neck, sniffing repeatedly. The star-marked sable loved the aura of an ancient god above all else. In ancient times when such beings still roamed, this creature had been among the few spirit beasts favored by them. Wang Lin knew this from inherited memories. The aura of an ancient god was immensely beneficial to the sable. If it remained near one long enough, its growth would accelerate greatly. It could even undergo metamorphosis. In ancient times, once a star-marked sable completed its metamorphosis, it became a powerful companion to an ancient god. However, such transformation required absorbing that aura over an extremely long period. Recalling the appearance of a metamorphosed sable from 2C's memories, Wang Lin's expression turned strange. When he looked at the one on his shoulder, that strange look deepened. In 2C's memories, any ancient god who possessed a metamorphosed star-marked sable cherished it beyond measure. They treated it as a treasure. No one was allowed to harm it. Even a touch from an outsider would provoke fury. As the sable inhaled Wang Lin's aura, excitement filled its intelligent eyes. It simply lay down on his shoulder, unwilling to move. Wang Lin raised his hand and grabbed the small creature. The sable immediately showed dissatisfaction. Its claws clung tightly to his clothes as it let out a low, indignant cry. Holding it before his face, Wang Lin examined it carefully. He had seen this sable hundreds of years ago when he first arrived on planet Tianyun. Back then, he had taken a liking to it. He had never imagined it would return to him after so long. The sable was delicate. Its bright eyes met his gaze. Time passed slowly. Eventually, it grew impatient. Wang Lin smiled faintly and released it. The sable instantly returned to his shoulder, sniffing around with visible comfort. Ignoring it afterward, Wang Lin prepared to leave. He intended to explore the Celestial Emperor Cave using the Jade Map. But just as he took a step, the star-marked sable suddenly looked down into the pit. Its eyes lit up. It leapt forward, cried out a few times at Wang Lin, then plunged downward. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He stared into the depths. After a brief pause, he followed. Star-marked sables are drawn to the aura of ancient gods. Could something related to an ancient god be buried beneath? The celestial burial pool. His thoughts immediately turned to the red tendon that had once trapped the Tattoo clan's holy ancestor. The pit seemed endless. No matter how far he descended, the bottom never appeared closer. The cold rising from below grew more intense. Frost began to form along the walls. It felt like an infinite abyss. Though his expression remained calm, Wang Lin was extremely cautious. The sable was clearly familiar with this place. It had already vanished ahead. The deeper he went, the colder it became. Each breath he exhaled turned into mist like dragons escaping his nostrils. Ice coated the surrounding walls. Sharp icicles protruded outward in circular formations. He carefully controlled his descent. After an unknown period, a streak of ghostly light returned. The star-marked sable landed on a patch of ice, then leapt back onto his shoulder. Cold energy radiated faintly from its body, but Wang Lin paid it no mind. His gaze was fixed downward. When the sable approached, Wang Lin vaguely sensed a gaze, one that pierced through all obstacles and landed upon him. He remained still, staring into the depths. Time passed. At last, his origin energy stirred. Flames ignited within his eyes. They surged outward, forming a sea of fire that spread downward. By its light, even the darkness that resisted his divine sense retreated slightly. Wang Lin continued descending. That gaze unsettled him. A faint speculation formed in his heart. The deeper he went, the more ice appeared. 7 minutes later, he reached the bottom. Before him lay a world of ice. Massive frozen blocks surrounded the area, creating an atmosphere of extreme danger. Inside each block was a corpse, preserved in the instant before death. The stillness of this unreachable place sent a chill through Wang Lin's heart. Yet these frozen figures were not what shocked him. What truly shook him lay deeper within, sealed by the surrounding ice, visible only through narrow gaps. That was the source of the gaze. Through the openings in the glacier, Wang Lin saw it clearly. In that instant, his pupils contracted sharply. Beneath the frozen layers deep within the pit stood something thousands of feet tall. It was a skull, the skull of an ancient god. Frozen in ice, yet its expression remained vivid. Its eyes, left open in death, were filled with regret and boundless anger. The gaze Wang Lin had felt came from this very skull. Though countless years had passed, and all traces of divine power had faded, the will within that final gaze remained so real that any who beheld it would feel their heart tremble. Only 8 shattered stars remained. Wang Lin stood before the ancient god's severed head, its presence filled with regret and fury. He fell into silent contemplation. After everything he had experienced, he understood clearly that ancient gods were not eternal beings drifting among the stars. Yet even so, they had once been the strongest clan. Back in those distant ages, the ancient god clan had nearly been wiped out. Wang Lin did not believe cultivators alone could have caused such devastation. Even the mighty Thunder Celestial realm had needed an immense amount of power just to battle a weakened 8-star ancient god. Only through the combined assault of countless Celestials did they manage to win, and even then they paid a heavy price. So what kind of terrifying force could sever the head of an ancient god, even after all 8 of his stars had shattered? Though shattering 8 stars was still short of reaching the level of a 9-star ancient god, it was already enough power to destroy heaven and earth. As these thoughts churned within him, Wang Lin slowly descended. He arrived before a massive block of ice that obstructed his path. Origin energy surged from his arm and flowed into the frozen barrier. In an instant, flames appeared along the surface of the ice and even within its depths. Almost immediately, the ice melted into white mist that drifted upward into the sky. The celestial corpses trapped inside were reduced to dust by the flames scattering into nothingness. With the path cleared, Wang Lin advanced toward the enormous ancient god head. As he drew closer and examined it from up close, an overwhelming pressure suddenly descended upon him, the oppressive might of a true 8-star ancient god. He let out a quiet sigh. Then he slowly descended along the surface of the head, moving toward the severed neck. The entire head was encased in a thick layer of ice, but the cut itself was clean, smooth, flawless. Wang Lin stared at the wound. His face remained calm, but his pupils shrank. Shock surged within his heart. From the appearance of the wound, the ancient god's head had been severed in a single instant. There had been no pause, no hesitation. It was a clean, absolute strike. The implication made Wang Lin's scalp tingle. He could not imagine what kind of power could achieve such a feat, cutting off the head of an ancient god with a single spell. Could it have been Qing Lin? A glint of light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, yet the thought filled him with unease. If Qing Lin truly possessed such power, then he had already surpassed the limits of Wang Lin's imagination. Wang Lin's expression darkened. His divine sense spread carefully around the head, scanning every inch. After a thorough inspection, he found nothing unusual. Only then did he focus on the wound itself. Time passed. Suddenly Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He moved closer to the ice, his gaze sharp as lightning as he stared at the edge of the wound. Within the depths of the cut, there were faint dark red crystal particles. Without careful observation, they could easily be mistaken for coagulated blood. "This is," Wang Lin murmured inwardly. He raised his hand and placed it against the ice. Origin energy spread slowly, filling his right hand. A large amount of white mist rose as he carefully melted a narrow passage through the ice. The tunnel extended directly toward the wound on the ancient god's neck. Then, with a subtle pull, Wang Lin created a suction force. One of the crystal particles flew into his hand. He held the dark red crystal between his fingers. His divine sense slowly enveloped it, probing its interior. As he examined it closely, he gradually perceived a strand of invisible energy within the crystal. This energy seemed to flow slowly, as though it could dissipate at any moment. Wang Lin's divine sense wrapped around it. After a brief hesitation, he directed his awareness inward, probing deeper. The moment his divine sense touched the energy, an indescribable pressure erupted. It was as though he had been cast out of the world. The universe became pitch black. Only that terrifying pressure remained. The aura was overwhelmingly powerful. Even a tiny trace of it caused Wang Lin to gasp, his instincts urging him to retreat. But he resisted. He forced himself to remain still and continued observing. The more he studied it, the deeper his frown became. In over 1,000 years of cultivation, he had never encountered such a strange form of energy. It was not celestial spiritual energy. It was not ordinary spiritual energy. It bore no connection to origin energy whatsoever. Yet at the same time it seemed to contain all of them: celestial energy, spiritual energy, origin energy, and something else, something beyond his understanding. It was like a chaotic mixture of countless forces, yet perfectly fused together. This contradiction left Wang Lin deeply confused. But what truly unsettled him was something else. Within this tiny strand of energy, there existed law. Not a single law, but countless laws. Nearly every law Wang Lin had glimpsed with the help of the heaven-defying bead was present within it. And beyond those, there were many more laws he had never seen before. This realization sent a chill through his entire being. Wang Lin carefully withdrew his divine sense. His face had turned pale as he stared at the crystal in his hand. At that moment, it no longer felt like a mere fragment. It felt like a bomb, one that contained unimaginable power. This was the force that had severed the ancient god's head. And it was not Qing Lin who wielded it. Wang Lin's gaze hardened. His thoughts drifted back to planet Suzaku, to that desperate battle against the heavens when he tried to save Li Muan. The heavens messenger had been an ancient god whose stars had been sealed. At the time, Wang Lin had been shocked, but his cultivation had been too low to fully comprehend what he had witnessed. Now, as he reflected on it, he realized it was not merely shocking. It concealed a heaven-shaking secret. What kind of power could seal an ancient god and control him as a mere messenger of the heavens? The answer surfaced almost instantly. Heaven's Tao. Wang Lin stared at the crystal in his hand. The moment he sensed that invisible energy, his intuition told him it was connected to the seal placed upon that ancient god. Yet the Heaven's Tao was formless, intangible. How could it possibly accomplish such a thing? Wang Lin fell into deep thought. He recalled the words of ancient demon Bei Lu about the secrets of the ancient order and their defiance of the heavens. Slowly he closed his eyes. An image formed in his mind. An 8-star ancient god rampaged across the endless stars. Then from the heavens an indescribable force descended. To resist it, the ancient god shattered all 8 of his stars. And yet, his head was still severed. Afterward, the head was taken by the celestial realm and placed here for reasons unknown. The force that had cut it did not fade with time. Instead, it transformed into these crystal fragments. Wang Lin did not know whether his deductions were true or false. They were merely conclusions drawn from what he knew. He opened his eyes. After a moment of thought, he carefully placed the crystal into his storage bag. There were still more crystals embedded within the frozen wound. Wang Lin extracted them one by one with extreme caution, placing each into his bag. Including the first, there were 23 in total. Once finished, Wang Lin stared again at the wound on the ancient god's neck. No crystals remained. He was about to leave, but suddenly his eyes narrowed. For a brief moment, he thought he saw a flash of red within the wound. His divine sense swept out but detected nothing. After a short pause, origin energy gathered in his right hand once more. Flame surged into the ice-cracking sounds, echoing as the energy tunneled forward. The passage extended deeper into the frozen mass. Wang Lin did not blink. Then he saw it. The source of the red flash. It was an iron sword. The blade was wrapped in countless red threads, writhing and intertwining around it. The sword itself appeared utterly ordinary. There was nothing remarkable about its form. And yet, the moment Wang Lin saw it, a strange sense of familiarity arose. It felt as though he had seen it before he could recall, where a deep sense of danger surged from the red threads. Wang Lin's expression changed. Earlier, when his divine sense had swept through the area, the ice had concealed everything. He had sensed nothing. But now that the ice had melted, the sword and the red threads were clearly visible. Out of caution, Wang Lin extended his divine sense again. Once more nothing. Just as before, there was no trace of the sword or the threads within his perception. Yet his eyes could see them plainly. This contradiction made Wang Lin extremely vigilant. Without hesitation, he began to retreat. The sword and those red threads were far too strange. It was best not to provoke them. Even as he withdrew, his gaze remained fixed upon the blade. Rust covered its surface. It looked like nothing more than a mundane weapon. Very familiar, Wang Lin muttered. Suddenly he stopped. It was as if a thunderclap had exploded within his mind. His eyes widened. He stared at the iron sword, drawing in a sharp breath. He remembered. On planet Suzaku, within the Suzaku tomb, he had seen this very same sword. The rust patterns had been different, but the sword was the same. That sword had been taken by Tuo Sen's messenger. Even now, Wang Lin could clearly recall the ecstatic expression on that messenger's face. The instant Wang Lin recognized the iron sword, he halted. A trace of hesitation surfaced in his eyes. Having cultivated to this stage, he understood clearly that his inherited memories were incomplete. A crucial fragment was missing. Most likely the origin of this iron sword lay within that lost portion. And that fragment remained in Tuo Sen's hands. Perhaps he alone knew the truth behind it. Yet an iron sword that could stir even Tuo Sen into ecstasy could not be ordinary. Though this was not the exact same sword as before, its appearance was identical. Should I take it? Wang Lin's gaze shifted from the sword to the red lines. From them emanated a terrifying aura, one that constantly filled him with a sense of impending danger. He did not know what those red lines were, but he could feel their dreadful power. If he turned back now, they would not react. He could leave safely. But if he tried to seize the iron sword, those red lines would very likely strike. Given Wang Lin's nature, he would not usually gamble against the unknown. Yet the sword before him tempted him deeply. After a brief struggle, determination hardened in his eyes. Fortune was born from danger. If he left now, he would gain safety, but lose this opportunity. Moreover, this was the Celestial Emperor Cave. If he did not act, now returning here later would be nearly impossible. To encounter a treasure and leave empty-handed, he would not accept that. Decision made, Wang Lin lifted his head and looked upward. From within the pit, he saw layers of dense ice sealing the top. Only a few narrow, twisted passages remained. After gauging the distance, he descended slightly and pondered. Then suddenly his head snapped forward, his gaze locking onto the iron sword buried deep within the ice. His teeth clenched. His hands formed a seal. Flames ignited within his eyes. In that instant, his peak Nirvana Scryer cultivation erupted. 5 stars appeared between his brows, spinning rapidly. Cracking sounds echoed from his body. Ancient god power surged through his limbs. His fist clenched with ruthless force. A feeling of dominion over heaven itself filled him. Without hesitation, Wang Lin extended his right arm. At that moment, flames burst from his eyes. Origin energy gathered into his right hand. As he reached forward, a vast sea of fire materialized before him. His right hand shifted into a seal. The sea of flames roared upward, crashing into the icy ceiling. Ice began to melt on a massive scale. Flames surged into the tunnel carved earlier by Wang Lin. In an instant, the flames reached the iron sword. The red lines trembled violently, stretching taut. Branches extended outward, spewing dense red mist to meet the flames. A thunderous explosion shook the space. The sea of fire was extinguished, forced backward by the red mist. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. Without pause, he spat out a mouthful of essence origin energy. The moment it appeared, it was like oil poured onto raging fire. Cracks spread wildly through the ice. Then, the ice collapsed. Countless burning shards scattered in all directions, crashing into surrounding blocks. With the ice gone, the ancient god's head was fully revealed before Wang Lin. Sealed for countless years, it began to rot the moment it was exposed. A foul stench spread through the air. Flesh decayed rapidly until only a massive skull remained. The skull was pitch black. Within it, a dense red mist churned endlessly. The source of the red lines lay within that mist, some still wrapped tightly around the iron sword. The instant the ice shattered, Wang Lin became a shadow and rushed forward. He seized the iron sword. At the moment of contact, origin energy within his body surged forth without restraint, forming a sea of flames around him. The fire flooded into the sword, engulfing the red lines coiled around it. At the same time, his left hand clenched into a fist. Ancient god power surged within it. He struck. As his punch fell, the phantom of an ancient god appeared behind him, mirroring the blow. Several red lines shattered instantly under the combined force of fist and flame. The rest recoiled. With a roar, Wang Lin yanked his arm back. The iron sword broke free. Now it rested firmly in his grasp. A flash of light and it vanished into his storage bag. Without the slightest delay, Wang Lin kicked off and shot upward toward the exit. Behind him, the sea of flames and ancient god power struck the red mist. The mist expanded violently, colliding with the flames. Thunderous rumbling echoed. The red mist dissipated completely. A phantom was revealed. Its form was indistinct, neither male nor female. Countless red lines coiled around it. Slowly it opened its eyes, fixing a cold gaze upon Wang Lin. Then it roared. Cracks spread across the surrounding ice. In an instant, all ice shattered. The corpses sealed within began to stir, each cloaked in a faint red glow. Pairs of crimson eyes lit up within the abyss, locking onto Wang Lin as he ascended. Roar! A beast-like roar echoed, merging with the phantom's cry. The sound formed a violent storm that surged upward. Deep within the pit, the roar reverberated. All awakened celestial corpses lunged toward Wang Lin. Above him, countless red-eyed corpses. Below, an eerie phantom closing in. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Without hesitation, he surged upward. The corpses were clumsy, fierce yet lacking intelligence. Their cultivation hovered around the yin-yang stage. With his peak Nirvana Scryer cultivation, Wang Lin could clearly see the flickering red lines between their brows. There was no time to think. He moved at full speed like a shadow. In an instant, he crossed paths with several incoming corpses. As they passed, his right hand formed a sword finger, striking precisely between their brows. Explosions rang out. Flames erupted from their bodies, turning them into burning spheres. The red lines faded and vanished. Wang Lin did not pause. Flames wrapped around him as he advanced. Each encounter ended the same with a single strike. The sea of fire surged forward. Corpses shattered, consumed by flame. The red lines within them were destroyed. Behind him, the phantom pursued relentlessly. Its gaze grew colder. With a roar, the lines around it transformed into swords, shooting toward Wang Lin with terrifying speed. Wang Lin moved like flowing water. Dozens of corpses fell behind him. Yet above, countless more remained. Below, the phantom closed in. The incoming swords made his scalp tingle. As they neared, a blue light flashed in his right eye. An azure barrier appeared. Thunderous impacts erupted. The shield was driven backward. The phantom drew closer. Madness flickered in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand formed a seal. Call the wind. Black wind surged forth. Unlike before, it was not cold but burning with intense heat. The wind transformed into 5 dragons, roaring as they surged upward. Each dragon burned with flame, tinged faintly purple. As they rose, the pit echoed with deafening rumbling. Heat flooded the space, overwhelming, oppressive. Yet it did not harm Wang Lin. His eyes burned like fire as he surged upward. The 5 dragons tore through everything in their path. Corpses were ripped apart and devoured. Glaciers melted into waves of white mist. Those who leapt to intercept him collapsed instantly beneath the dragon's assault. The 5 dragons rampaged upward. Within the inferno, Wang Lin's speed reached its peak. He unleashed everything, his Nirvana Scryer cultivation, his ancient god body, without restraint. On his shoulder, the star-marked sable clung tightly, gripping his clothes with its claws and his hair with its teeth. Fear filled its intelligent eyes. The flames surged higher and faster, growing ever more violent. Soon they became a towering pillar of fire that pierced the entire pit. Like a volcanic eruption, the flames burst from the depths. Encircled by the 5 black flame dragons, Wang Lin shot out of the abyss and looked down. No need to wait for the next episode. The full audio novel is already available on my website. Check it out below.